built something. Now, before you build something, you have to understand the surroundings. You have to understand the environment. You cannot just go build something with the point of view of saying, I'm just going to go build. So you have to understand, and I'll deal with construction first, but you can deal with several different things. I want to just deal with construction. And building a house or building something, the first thing you build is what? The foundation. Now, can you just go out there and put a foundation? You have to go out and test the soil. You have to figure out what type of soil it is and say, what type of foundation can I build? What is going to be the height? What is going to be the level? What type of rock do I use in building this foundation? So you have to go out and survey the territory before you begin to build anything. So you have to figure out, okay, what can go here? Now, once you survey the territory, then you can go forth and say, I am going to build a blueprint. I'm going to give a schematic of how this whole building is going to look. So you survey the ground, you look at it, get an analysis, then you develop your blueprint of a schematic that you're going to use. Now, in doing that, you get an understanding of your surroundings. Now, if you were in an area that flooded a lot, you would have to build a foundation that got you up off of the ground. So you may have to have some stilts that you build that house on. So if the flood comes, you'll be ready for it. Now, if you don't do that and the flood comes, what's going to happen? It's going to wash the house away. The house is going to be flooded. So you're going to understand those things in building it. Now, once you do that, and if you build it according to specs. Now, Brother Milan, you just got a house built. Now, when you built your house, I'm pretty sure you got insurance on it, am I right? So the insurance agent came out, looked at the house, looked where it was built, and made sure that it was built to certain specs. And if it was in a certain area, they say that you had to build it according to these specs. And if you didn't do it, you wouldn't be insured. Now, so they'll write you out an insurance policy and say, this goes with the specs, it's been built according to what the area needs, and it's okay, so we will insure you. But now, they'll also put certain things for it to stay insured. Now, if you do things that are against your insurance policy, what happens? It's canceled. So even if a storm comes, and the storm comes, and you say, okay, I've done everything, but if you violate something on the insurance policy, it is what? Canceled. It's null and void. So you can come and say, whoa, wait a minute, disaster has come, the storm has come, it's blown down my house, it's flooded, and the insurance agent will come out there and look. Now, if everything meets specs, then they will give you money to rebuild your house. But if things don't meet the specifications, then you don't get anything. You can cry, you can weep, and do all those different things, but if you didn't go according to the specifications that were given you, it is null and it is void. So you have to go according to the instruction. A lot of times in life, we will be given instruction on how to live in a certain area. And it will tell you, don't do this, don't do that, stay away from these things. Now, you have to heed to what you're going to do. How are you going to participate? Now, as Christians, as believers, God tells us to do certain things when we're in certain environments, when we're around certain folks. Now, we have to understand that. Now, Sister Viviana, can you partly understand that? You have to fully understand it, right? So you can't go and say, I'm going to get part of it and I'm going to be okay with it. You have to fully understand what you're called to do. Now, you have to make sure that you hold on to that. But a lot of times in our life, we only do certain parts of the specifications. We don't take the whole counsel. We only take the counsel that we like, and we hold on to those. And it talks about how do we sow. Now, The world is always trying to say, come in. Come be a part of me. Now, it talks about in the word, it says we have to separate ourselves. We have to be the salt and the light. We have to be separated. But the world is always trying to pull us in. And we have to stay away from those things. And now a lot of times, we don't run away from the world. We run to the world. Specifically in this season. How many of us as believers believe that today is what they call in the world Halloween? How many of us believe, I don't want you to raise your hand, how many of us believe that Halloween is something that we should celebrate? We would say, no! Halloween is not something we should celebrate. That's the devil's holiday. It's set aside specifically for the devil. But the world doesn't say that. The world says that this is something that is joyful, that this is something that is fun. This is something that you should participate in. And matter of fact, it will advertise it in a way to make you think that, oh, it's okay. Now, we know that, but a lot of times when we are doing something, we don't run away from what we're not supposed to do. We run to it. We don't run away from sin, we run to it. Sister Demetria, do you remember when we were young and they used to have a fight? Now, a fight is not something good, is it? A fight is something bad. Now, when somebody said fight, it was something almost like it was an alarm. Like, woo, 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 come to me. Folks would be way over and they would run to see the fight. That's a difference. Brother Milan, if we're running to say I'm going to break up that fight. But we're not running to break up the fight. We are running to be what? Entertained by it. We say, ooh, I want to see that. Ooh, did you see that? Ooh. And we run to it. It is something about in our nature that we run to things that we're not supposed to run to. That is a desire that we have. And we run to it not with the point of stopping it, but just to participate in it. And that's something in our nature. And a lot of times we run to stuff that we shouldn't run to. Going back to this Halloween thing, a lot of times we run to it and we're supposed to run away from it because it's just something about being accepted, something about sin, something about the forbidden. If something is forbidden, a lot of times we run to it. It is our desire and our lack. We began to figure out ways that we can participate. How many times have we figured out ways that we can participate in something that is negative? Well, I'm not going to dress up as a ghost or a goblin. I'm going to dress up as a superhero. I'm going to dress up as something good. You know, I'm going to participate. You know, we're not going to have a Halloween deal. We're going to have a fall festival on Halloween and dress up and buy for apples. We're going to do all the things that go along with that. But we're just going to say we're going to call it something else. I went to the schools, and schools, it was funny because schools, they don't celebrate Halloween. They call it character parade. But when I look at the character parade, everybody that is there is dressed in Halloween stuff. And believers are dressed in Halloween stuff. So it was a point that they're not separating it, they are partaking in what the world has deemed as being their holiday and not realizing what it is. Running to it. Running to those things that are negative and making them part of us. And then we don't understand why our lives are messed up. What are we sowing in? It says if you sow in the wind, Do we? Do we say, tornado, tornado, I'm running towards the what? Tornado, we don't do that. Because what's going to happen when we run into a tornado? You're going to be sucked in. But a lot of times in life, as Christians, we run towards stuff. How many of you have ever been in an accident or seen an accident? Now, have y'all seen just in our nature what we do? You know, we'll be riding. We'll just be riding and we'll be riding, take up, and we see that accident. We all up in it, we began to rub it, it began to pull us toward that accident. As a matter of fact, we'll slow down, we'll stop, and then what happens? Cause more accidents. Cause more accidents because we began to be pulled into the things of the world. We began to be pulled into those things of life, and we forget what it means to say, wait a minute, I'm going to be totally dedicated towards God. I'm going to have my life dedicated towards God. We began to be pulled into the world and then don't understand the bigger implications. Pulled in. What do we reap? We're reaping what we are sowing. We had this deal called the Wilderness Ridge Fire. The Wilderness Ridge Fire is one of the largest fires in Bastrop County. Burned thousands upon thousands of acres. Now, one of the things that they will tell you when you build a house is when they tell you that you got to have distance between houses. You don't want to have a lot of foliage or trees right around your house. Now, our desire when we build our house a lot of times is to build them right in the environment. We want the big trees to overhang over our house, and we want all those different things. But they will tell you, you got to have some distance between your house. And if you have a tree, you need to have it a little farther back. You don't want it right on your house. Now, people will tell you that you're here, but a lot of times we stubborn. Because we want things the way we want. This is my house. I can build it the way I want to build it. And what happens a lot of times when we do what we want to do and we get away with it, we get comfortable. And then the next person, they'll see us getting away with it, guess what they'll do? Build their house the same way. Now, it's funny because people are watching what we do. They'll pass by and say, man, that's nice. I like how you got that, yeah, that's nice. I like how everything is going. So what happens is we will temporarily look at how things are going in people's lives. Now, how many of y'all have done something wrong and it's been good for a little bit? You've done something and you know it's wrong, but for a moment, you take pleasure in it, and you're like, man, that's good. And sometimes we will forsake everything just to get that moment of